Well, hello Python learners. In this video, you will learn how to use dictionary and sets. And these are other complex data types that Python supports. So let's start with a dictionary, which allows you to connect pieces of related information or represent an entity. For example, in a book, you can store its title, the author, the number of pages, and even the list of topic that it contains. So here is an example of a dictionary. And when writing a dictionary, it should start with an open curly brace and end with a closing curly brace. And a dictionary is a mapping of key value pairs. So here is an example of a key value pair. And a key value pair is separated by a colon. The key is on the left side and the value on the right side is associated with that key. And each key value pair in a dictionary is called a record, and each record in a dictionary is separated by a comma. And usually, a key in a dictionary uses a string data type, but there are also cases that use an integer data type. Like in this new dictionary example here, the key is an integer and its value is a string data type. And to initialize an empty dictionary, you need to use an empty curly braces. And here is another example of a dictionary, and we can consider this as a simple dictionary as it only contains one record with a key name and then the value, which is Joseph. And when initializing a dictionary, you can write each record in a multi-line format. So you need to end each record with a comma. Then you can press enter to write the following records on the next line. Like in this example, we have a student count dictionary per grade where each record is written separately by a line. And once we execute this, then this is a completely valid syntax of dictionary in Python. And a dictionary is an ordered sequence, which means that the order in which records are inserted will always be the same order of records unless we invoke the dictionary method to change its record order. So using our student count dictionary example, we can see that every time we output this variable, the order of record it contains is still the same. And now to access or look up a value within a dictionary, you need to use the dictionary variable name, then a square bracket. And then inside that bracket, you need to indicate the key of the value you want to look up. So for example, if I want to know the count of grades 2 student, then I will use the key grade 2 and it will return 30 because that's the value associated to grade 2. Another example, if I use the key grade 4, then it will return the value 22. Now take note that each key in a dictionary should be unique, though Python will not throw any error if you initialize a dictionary with a duplicate key. And in this example, we have an age dictionary containing names as key and their ages as their values. And you can notice here that we have two records with the same key, John, one with the age 21 and the other with the age 35. If we execute this code, it will not throw any error. And notice that during this initialization, we have a total of 4 records. But once we output this variable age dictionary, we can see that it now only contains 3 records since the dictionary only accepts unique key. And the other record with the same key John is eliminated, but notice that the value associated with the John or with the key John is 35 and not 21. And why is that? Well, it's because when Python sees the same key John in the last record, it detects that it is already an existing key. So instead of doing an insert operation, it interprets this operation as an update operation which result in a new value for the key Jan, which is 35. Now let's go back to our book dictionary. And here in this dictionary, each key and value is part of that dictionary. But if you want to look up a record, we always need to use the key within the square bracket. If we try to use a value instead of a key, like in this example, I use the value ikigai, then if I execute this, it will result to a key error. Even if the value ikigai is part of our dictionary, Python only looks up a record using a key, and ikigai is a value, not a key. A dictionary can also contain a mixed data type of keys and values. Like in this example, we have a string key, an integer key, and also a Boolean key. We also have a mixed value data types like string, an integer, a boolean, and also a floating point value. And this is a completely valid syntax in Python, and it will not throw any error if we execute it. And if you want to look up each of these values, we need to indicate each of their keys. And notice here that for a string key, it should be enclosed with quotes, and for an integer key, it should follow the same key format similar to a Boolean key. So now if I execute this, then it will return all the values associated on each of those keys. Now let's go back to our age dictionary. And this time, let's add or insert a new record into a dictionary. So to insert a new record into a dictionary, the syntax is similar to looking up a value. You use the dictionary variable name and a square bracket, and inside the bracket, you need to specify the key. So in this example, we'll use ava, then associate a value with that key using the assignment operator. And in this example, we will set ava's age to 28. And take note that this is a dual purpose syntax in a dictionary. When Python sees it, it will first check if the key aba already exists in the dictionary. If not, it will insert it as a new record. But if it already exists, then it will interpret this operation as an update operation and update the value of the key aba to 28. But since we don't have a key aba yet in our dictionary, then this will become an insert new record operation. So if I execute this, then this will not throw any error. This is a valid syntax. And if we output our age dictionary variable, we can see that aba is now a part of our dictionary records. Let's try another one. This time, let's use Manuel as the key and assign an age of 18. And once we execute that, then again, if we output the age dictionary variable, we can see that the recent two records we added or inserted are now within our age dictionary. And a dictionary is a mutable data type, meaning that we can change our record's value. For example, we can update the age of Kelly to 22, and it's the same syntax as adding a new record. It will just become an update operation because the key Kelly already exists in the age dictionary. So once we execute this code, and again, if we output our age dictionary, we can see that the age associated now to our key Kelly is 22. Let's try another one. For example, let's update Ava's age to 17. And once we output again our age dictionary, we can see now the new age value associated to Ava, which is 17. Another useful dictionary method is the get method. Usually we look up a dictionary value using square brackets, and then within it we indicate a key. So for example, to look up John's age, we use John as the key and it returns 35. Another way to do this is by using the get method after the dictionary variable name, and then use a parenthesis, and inside we also need to indicate the key. So for example, let's use John again, and it will return the same value, which is 35. So what's the difference between these two? Well, using the square bracket, if you indicate a key that is not present within the dictionary, then it will return or throw an error. So for example, if we look up the value of the key shy, it will return a key error because we don't have a record with the key shy in our dictionary. But now if we look up the same key using the get method, we can see that it did not return any error. Well, technically it returns something, and we can see that if we pass the result of this operation to a print function, and here we can see that once we execute that code, it returns none. Well, another cool thing about the get method is that you can indicate a second parameter as a default return value. So for example, I can add a return value key not found, which will be returned if the key is not present in the dictionary. So now if I execute this code, instead of returning none, now it returns the default return value I indicated, which is key not found. Cool thing, right? Let's go back to our age dictionary. Now, if you decide that you don't need a particular record from your dictionary, then you can delete that record using the del function. So you just need to use the del function followed by the dictionary variable name and then a square bracket and indicate the key within that bracket. So for example, if you want to delete the record for George, then we'll just indicate the key George and execute this code. So now if we output our age dictionary variable, we can no longer see George as part of the record. Now let's talk about the different useful functions or methods that we can invoke from a dictionary. Let's use our age dictionary again. And remember, to determine the variable data type in Python, you can use the type function. Let's print the type of the age dictionary variable. And here we can see that this variable age dict belong to the class dict or dictionary. And technically all the data types belongs to a class, even integers and strings. And it's important to know this because since this variable belong to a dictionary class, there are built-in functions that we can invoke from that class. So how do we know what these functions are? Well, you just need to use the dictionary or the variable name, and then you can invoke the special method dir or directory. Like in this example, once I execute it, you will see different things that probably don't make sense at first, but once you are on the object-oriented programming topic, you will understand more of it. And we have a separate video for that. But for now, these items here that you can see between double underscore, these are called special methods, and you can see that dir or directory is one of them. But I want you to focus for now on these items that don't have underscore. And these are the list of functions or methods that we can invoke or use for a dictionary variable. You should be familiar now with the get method. Now let's see how useful the other methods are. So using our age dictionary variable again, if you want to output all the keys in that dictionary variable, you can invoke the keys method. And once we execute this command, then it will return all the keys from our dictionary. And in the case that you are interested only in the values, then you can invoke the values method. And as you can see here, it returned the list of values that we have in our dictionary. Or if you are interested in both keys and values, then you can invoke the items method instead. And you can see here that it returns the pair of keys and value from our dictionary. Oh, well, you might ask, why do I need to invoke the items method if I can output the dictionary items just using the variable name like this, right? Well, the answer is these values that keys, values, and items method return have a special purpose. You can use them for an iteration process. For example, if you want to loop through each key or value and then perform some validation. And we will cover loops in a separate video, but it's also helpful to know how you can make use of these return values from these methods. And one operator you can use with a dictionary is the membership test operator in. For example, if I want to check if there is a George in my age dictionary that keys, then I can use the in operator to check it with my age dictionary keys, and it will return true if it is present and false if not. Since George is one of the keys in our dictionary, it returned true. But if I try to check shy in our age dict that keys, then it will return false because we don't have a key of shy in our dictionary. And not just with keys, we can also use the in operator with the dictionary values. For example, if you want to know if there is someone with the age of 30 in the dictionary, then you can check it using again the in operator, and this time let's use the dot values uh, operation or function, and once we execute this it will return true because we have a record Kelly whose age is 30. Another useful function is the len function, which when used with a dictionary will return the number of its record. So using this with our age dictionary, it returns 5 because we have a total of 5 records. There may also be some cases where you can use the len function to count um, the number of keys in your dictionary, like in this example, and this will also return 5. Our age dictionary is a simple one-dimensional dictionaries to use this kind of syntax, but later once we are on the nested dictionary samples, maybe you can see how useful it is. So let's again print the records within our age dictionary. And another useful function is the sorted function, which by default return the dictionary key in sorted order. So if we execute this function and then indicate our age dictionary, it will return the list of keys from our dictionary with ABA as the first element and Manuel as the last. And using the sorted function, it creates a new list and it does not affect the order of records from our directory. So if we output again our age dictionary, we can see that we still have the same order of records, wherein John is the first record and Manuel is the last. Now, in the case that you want to sort the keys in reverse order, then you can do that by setting a second parameter reverse to true or equals to true. And once we execute it, it will return the list of keys in reverse order. Now we can see that Manuel is the first element and Aba as the last. And by default, the sorted function sort the dictionary key. If you want to use this with the dictionary values like this, then you can pass the result of the dictionary that values method to the sorted function, and this will return the sorted values, where we can see that 18, these are the age values from our age dictionary. So our first element here is 18 with 35 as the last element value. But take note that when using the sorted function, the values should be of the same data type, otherwise it will return a type error. For example, using our book dictionary, we can see here that we have mixed data types of value. We have string, an integer, and also a boolean. So if we invoke the sorted function on this dictionary values, then it will result into a type error because Python doesn't know how to compare these different data types. Now, when you assign a dictionary to another variable, this makes a shallow copy of the dictionary variable. So let's execute this. And if we print the both dictionary variables, we can see that they have the same records. But now if we try to change the value of, for example, Kelly from our age dictionary to, for example, 20, and then execute this. And now if we print both dictionary variables again, we can see that the change or update operation affects both variable because the copy age is a shallow copy of the age dictionary variable. But if you want to make a deep copy of a dictionary variable, then you can use the copy method and then assign the result to a new variable. So in this example, we invoke the copy method from the age dictionary variable and then assign the result to a new variable named new age. And now if I execute this and if we print both this variable, we can see that initially they have the same records. And now if we try to change Kelly's age again to 40, for example, and if we print again both these dictionary variables, we can see that the changes only affect the age dictionary variable and not the new age variable because the new age is a deep copy of a age dic. And earlier, I showed you how to delete a record from a dictionary using the del function. Another way to delete a record from a dictionary is using the pop method and then specify the key. So for example, if we want to remove John's record, we can invoke the pop method and then inside the parentheses, we need to indicate the key which is John. Now, if I execute this, we can see that it returns a value which is 21, and this value is the value associated to the key that we pop or we delete from our dictionary. And the only difference of pop method with the del function is this this pop return a value, and again, that is the value associated with the key that we specify. And this is helpful if there is an additional step that we want to do on that value after we delete it from the dictionary records. And another way to delete a record from a dictionary is using the pop item method, and this method automatically delete the last record from the dictionary. And similar to pop, it also has a return value which is the record key value pair, and we can see here that it outputs Manuel and 18 because Manuel is the last record from our dictionary. So now if we check our age dictionary variable, we can see that we only have three records: Kelly, George, and Ava. Okay, so here we have two dictionaries, old team and new team, which both contain player names and their numbers. Let's say, for example, that you were asked to combine both records into one dictionary. And one way is to manually check the players from the old team that are not present with the new team and then manually add them. And that is a valid way. But Python offers a cool function, which is the update function, which can easily do that. So first, we just need to indicate to which dictionary variable we want to place all the records. Let's say for example that's on the new team variable, and then we can invoke the update function, and then inside the parentheses we can indicate the other dictionary variable. So for example is the old team dictionary variable. Now if I execute this and now if we print our new team variable, here you will notice that originally the new team only contains three records, but after the update operations, it becomes four, including George from the old team, which is a cool thing, right? And now if you want to empty your dictionary variable, you can use the clear function and it will delete all the records from the dictionary. So for example, if we invoke the clear method or function from our new team variable and execute this code, now if we print our new team variable, we can see that it's now an empty dictionary. And why did we how did we know it's an empty dictionary? It's because of the open and close curly braces. But in the case that you want to totally delete it from the memory, then you can use the del function instead. Now if we delete new team and after that operation, if we try to access it again, then we'll get a name error because this variable no longer exists in the memory. Now let's talk about nesting dictionaries to another complex data type and nesting other complex data types to a dictionary. In this example, we have three dictionary variables: employees, students, and subjects. And this dictionary use integer keys and string as values. Then we have a list variable records that contain three dictionary elements. Now, if we output the records variable, we can see a list of dictionaries. And remember, to access an element from a list, we need to use the indexing operation by indicating the element index position within square brackets. So if I want to output the first dictionary from the record variable, I first need to use the variable name, and then I need to use the index position 0 because it's the first element, and this will return the first dictionary within the record list. But what if I want to access a value from the first dictionary from the records list? Since we are accessing a value from a list, we still need to use the indexing operation. So first we need to index the position of that dictionary within the square bracket. Then we need to use a second bracket. And only this time, instead of using an index position, we need to indicate the record key. So for example, if we want to access maybe Charlie Brown from the record, then we need to refer to his key, which is 2. So first we need to identify the index position of this dictionary. Since this is the second element, then that the index position should be 1. And if we want to output Charlie Brown, we need to use a second square bracket. And within that bracket, instead of using an index, since this is a dictionary value, we need to use the key to refer to the value Charlie Brown. And the key is 2. So now if we execute this, this will return Charlie Brown. And another example, if we want to access the fiction value from the third dictionary within the record list variable, again, similar syntax, we need to use the dictionary variable name and then indicate the index position of that dictionary. This time, this is the third element, so the index position is 2, and then we need to use a second square bracket, and this time instead of using index position, again, since this is a dictionary, we need to refer to the key. So if we are targeting the value fiction, then we need to refer to its key, which is 3, and this will return fiction. And here is another example. This time we have a dictionary variable students with a string as the key and a list as values. Now, if we want to access all the grade 2 names, we need to use the dictionary variable students and then a square bracket and indicate the key, which is grade 2. And this will return the list of grade 2 names: Kelly, John, and Brad. And maybe a quick exercise for you. How can I access a specific element or name from the grade 2 values? For example, if I want to output John, what will be the syntax for that? Well, just pause the video and I know you can easily answer that. Okay, let's see if your answer is right. Well, to output John, first let's use the variable name students and then a square bracket. And inside the square bracket, we need to specify the key grade 2. And since the value we want to access is within a list, we need to use the indexing operation. And to do that, we need to use another square bracket or a second square bracket. And John is the second element, so his index position is 1. So after the key, we need to include another square bracket and indicate 1 as the index. And once we execute this, this will return John. But how about ABA, for example? So again, we need to use the variable name students and then the key, which this time is grade 3. And then we need to use a second square bracket and indicate the index positions of ABA, which is 0 because ABA is the first element, and this will return ABA. Okay, so here's another example. We have a dictionary variable reps dictionary, which contains different exercises as key and reps completed per exercise. And now let me execute it first. Remember the len function earlier? Let's use that function again here to count the elements in our dictionary values. So if I want to know the number of sets or elements in the squat exercise, I can use the len function and indicate the dictionary, which is reps dic, and then specify the key, for example, is squats. And once I execute this, this will return 4 because we have 4 elements in the squat values. Now, if we use this function with the push-ups exercise, then it will return 5 because push-ups has 5 elements or 5 values. Okay, another example. This time we have a dictionary nested within a dictionary. Okay, so without me telling you first, how do you think we can access a specific value from a record? For example, if I want to know how many reps were made on the sit-ups exercise on Friday. So I'll let you pause the video for now and then try on how you can access this value 60. Pause the video now. All right, let's see again if you answer or if your answer is correct. So to access the value 60, which is the sit-ups reps on Friday, first we need to use, of course, the dictionary variable name, which is reps per day. And then we need to specify a key because what we are accessing is a dictionary and our target is the sit-ups exercise. So that will be the key. And then we need to use a second square bracket, and since the value of our or the value associated to our exercise key is also a dictionary, now we need to specify a second key. And since our target is the value of Friday, then we need to refer to the key or Friday, and this will return the value which is 60. I know you get it right, right? I know you did. Okay, so how about the number of push-up reps on Monday? Well, again, first we need to indicate the variable name, reps per day, and then we need to specify the key, which this time is push-ups, and then use a second square bracket and indicate another key, which is this time is Monday, and this will return the value 50. Now let's talk about the fourth complex data type that Python supports, sets. And sets is an ordered collections of unique elements, and this data type is commonly used for removing duplicates from a sequence. As you see from our previous example, when we convert a list with duplicate values into sets, it automatically removes the duplicate values. And when writing a set, it starts with an open curly brace and ends with a closing curly brace. And you probably noticed that it is almost similar to a dictionary. The difference is that its values are not a key value pair separated by colon. And sets is an ordered collections of unique element, as I mentioned earlier, meaning that it do not record element position or the order of insertion. So for example, if we print our name sets variable, we can see that John is now the first element, still the first element, but now we can see that Kelly is the last element from these sets. And because of this, sets does not support indexing and slicing operations. So you might be thinking, if it also uses a curly braces like in dictionary, how can you initialize an empty set? And that is another different thing about set. To initialize an empty set, you need to use the set function, and this will create an empty set. And for example, let's create a variable empty set. And again, to initialize it as an empty set, you need to use the set function. And once I execute this, we just created an empty set. And again, you can determine the type of empty set variable using the type function and then indicate the variable, this time empty set, and this will return set. So now if we output the variable empty set, what do you think will be the output? Maybe you expect an empty curly braces, but that is a dictionary. So for set, you will see set with open and close parentheses. And with sets, you can also have a mixed element. Like in this example, I initialize a set with a string, a floating point value, and also a Boolean value. And this is a completely valid syntax for sets. Now, similar with tuple, sets is an immutable data type, meaning that once you insert a record, you cannot change that record. And because sets and tuple are both immutable, you can have tuple as element of a set. Like in this example, we have two tuple elements within our sets. And a list and dictionary, remember, is a mutable data type. So you cannot use them as sets element. If you try to insert a list element to a set, like in this example, you will get an error or a type error. And similarly, if you insert a dictionary element to a set, then you will get the same type of error. And as I repeatedly saying, set is a collection of unique element, and Python will allow you to insert a duplicate value when creating a set. Like in this example, we have a sets with numeric element values, and you can notice that we have two values 23. And if we execute this, we'll not get any error. But once we output the sets unique variable, let me just spell that right, you can see that it automatically eliminate the duplicate element, and now we only have one element, which is 23. And to insert a new item to a set, you need to invoke the add method and indicate a new value. For example, to add number 5, first we need to use the variable name sets unique, then invoke the add method, and then inside this parenthesis, we need to indicate the value that we want to add. For example, is 5. So now if I execute this and output the sets unique variable, I always spell that in uppercase. So here we can see that 5 is added on our sets element. But inserting the same element or item to a set will not trigger any error. Like in this example, if I attempt or try to insert the value 5 again, will not get any error. But once we print our or output our sets unique variable, we can see that it automatically eliminated, or the same value we added is just automatically eliminated, because again, sets can only contain unique values. And similar with the other complex data types, there are functions that you can use with set. First is the len function, which will return the number of elements with the set. So if we use it to our set's unique variable, it will return 6. Another one is the max function, which when used with numeric elements like our set's unique variable, it will return the highest number, which in this case is 34. Now going back to our name sets, if we use the max functions with a string, like in this example, in our name sets, this will return the value based on the lexicographic or lexical order. So now we can see here that it returned the value Manuel. But if we use the min function,
with our name sets variable, this time it will return ABA. And similarly, if we use the min function with numeric sets values, it will return the lowest number. And in this case, that is the number 5. Let's go back to our name sets variable. So sets are immutable, but it can be mutated by invoking functions on set. For example, if you want to delete an element from a set, you can use the discard method. Let's say if you want to remove Kelly, we can invoke the discard method on the name sets and then indicate Kelly. Now, if I execute this and output our name sets variable, we can no longer see Kelly. Another way to remove an element from a set is using the remove method. For example, to remove John, we can invoke the remove method on the name sets. And if I execute this, and again, if we output the name sets variable, John is no longer part of the sets. So what is the difference between discard and remove? When you try to remove an item that is not part of a set using the discard method, it will not return any error. While trying to remove an item that is not part of a set using the remove method, you will get a key error. And now if you want to delete all the sets element, you can use the clear method. So if we clear our name sets, and again output our name sets variable, we can see that it is now an empty sets. And set is commonly used in computing standard math operations on set, such as union. In this example, we have three sets variable containing numeric values. So if you want to combine elements of two sets and automatically remove duplicate values, you can use the union method. For example, to combine num1 and num2 sets, you need to identify the first sets and then invoke the union method, and within the parentheses indicate the second sets. In this case is num2. And when executed, this will return a brand new set containing the combined elements. And this syntax or operation does not affect both num1 and num2 sets. So if we print num1 and num2, we can see that they still have their original values. If you want to access the combined element from different sets, you can assign the result of the union operation to another variable. For example, to combine num1, num2, and num3 sets, we can indicate the first element num1 or the first set's num1, then invoke the union function, and within the parentheses, we can indicate num2 and num3 separated by a comma, then assign the result to a new variable num union. Now, if I execute this and print the or output the num union variable, we can access the combined element from the different sets. Another math operations on set is intersection, which is used to find common elements between two sets. So for example, if we want to find the common element with num1 and num2, we can invoke the intersection method or operations in num1 and indicate num2 within the parentheses. And now if I execute this, it will return 2 and 3 because num1 and 2 have these values. The opposite of intersection is difference. Now, if we want to find the elements from num1 that has no duplicate in num2, we can invoke the difference method in num1 and indicate num2 within the parentheses, and this will return 1. And you can also assign the result of intersections and difference to a variable in case that there is additional step needed on those results. Now, in the case that you want one of the sets to store the common elements between the two sets, you can use the intersection update method. And first, identify the sets that you want to update, meaning the sets that will contain the common elements. In this example, we'll use num1. Then invoke the intersections update and indicate the second sets, which is num2. So if we execute this and output num1, we can see that it only now contains two elements, which are the common elements with num2. And if we output num2, it will remain unchanged. So if there is an intersection update, then there is also a difference update method. And this method will store to one of the sets the element that has no duplicate from the other sets. So for example, if we use num2 and invoke the difference update and indicate num3, now if I execute this and if we check num2, we can see no changes on its element because all these values don't have duplicate on 3. And of course, if we print or output 3 sets, we can see that it remains unchanged. Another useful method with sets is the disjoint method, which checks if two set contains common elements or not. It will return true if there is no common elements. For example, using num2, we can invoke the is disjoint method and indicate num3, and it will return true because they don't have common elements. But if we check num1 and num2, it will return false because they have common elements 2 and 3. But if we check num1 and num2, it will return false because they have common elements 2 and 3. Another useful method is the isSubset method, which checks if a set's element is part of another set. In this example, we can check if the set's value 10 and 20 is subset of another set containing multiple values including 10 and 20, and this will return true. However, if we check 5 and 7 from these sets, then it will return false. Another method is the superset method, which checks if a set's values contains the elements of another set's value. In this example, it will return true because these two sets values are part of the set's values. And that is all for this video, guys. Now you have additional complex data type that you can use, dictionary and sets. And knowing the similarities and differences between these complex data types, now you can decide when to use which depending on your needs. So if you like this video, don't be shy to hit that like button and subscribe to get updated with our Python uploads. In our next video, let's delve into conditional statements and loops in Python. Again, I'll see you there.